morning, everyone. Thank you, Bob, Jimmy, Lori, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center of Unity. We are absolutely thrilled that you are here with us live and in person today. And for those of you who are out there on what my boss likes to call the interwebs, we welcome you also. Welcome on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if I am the first to wish you a happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. This is a very happy Mother's Day. I pulled a few quotes about Mother's Day from kind of famous people. The first one is from Liza Minnelli, and it says, "Mom raised us with humor. She raised us to understand that not everything was going to go well, but how to laugh through it." Liza Minnelli. Motherhood is the biggest gamble in the world. It is a glorious life force. It is huge. It is scary. It is an act of infinite optimism. That was Gilda Radner, Saturday Night Live. A mother's love for her child is like nothing else in the world. It knows no law, no pity. It dates all things. It crushes down remorselessly all that stands in its path. That was Agatha Christie. And, of course, the wisest of all of these is Dorothy from the Golden Girls, who says, "It's not easy being a mother. If it were easy, fathers would do it." So there you go. Let's go ahead and get started here, Paul.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Yes, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. His grace runs. While I was a slave to myself, Jesus rescued me. Yes, he rescued me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are
Yes, I am. Say that with me. Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. So glad you are here with us and grateful that we get to celebrate this Mother's Day together. I had a beautiful surprise this morning that both daughters are here today, and all of my grandchildren, minus one, are also here with us today. So they surprised me, and I am grateful that they are here. And this is truly the day that we celebrate all women, those who have loved and nurtured our children, whether you gave birth to children or you inherited them in a blended family or have been the loving grandmother or auntie or a teacher or a friend. Everyone who has given encouragement and love and wisdom to a child have made a difference, and we celebrate you today. Because I know that every act, every kind word, every ability for us to say you can do it brings greater light into our world and brings us closer moment by moment to experiencing the kingdom of heaven right here and right now. And I am grateful for all of the women in this community and around the world who are making a positive difference, especially those who are loving and caring for our children. So join with me as we take a moment to just bring all this energy, the energy of the music and the energy and the excitement of celebrating those mother figures in our lives. And as you feel that sense of gratitude for those who supported and nurtured and encouraged you, in whatever form that was, feel that well up in your heart. And in that energy of love, feel that connection one to another. Whether our mothers are still here on the planet or perhaps are in a new phase of living, in God, in this energy of love, there is no time or distance from which we cannot be connected. And feel that energy of love towards yourself for all of the ways that you have encouraged and loved our children. Whether you're male, whether you're female, we all play a role in bringing this next generation closer to the awareness of how precious they are and what a light they have come to shine on this planet. We give thanks for the many ways in which this love is shared today. And we give thanks to know that we are indeed children of God ourselves. We are infinitely and eternally loved. And for that, we say thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
And good morning again. In Unity, we have 5 Unity principles, and I'm going to talk about one of them today. Remind us of one of them today. It says, we can demonstrate now the good that we desire. Why don't we say that together? And that's a cool one. We can demonstrate now the good we desire. And then we have core values. The one that I'm going to speak to this morning is being inclusive. And the value says we embrace the unique and diverse experiences of everyone. Jesus' ministry was all about being inclusive. Or it might be more true to say that his ministry was against exclusion. Jesus' radical inclusion offered an invitation to everyone without any requirements and without any prohibitions. The kingdom of God eliminates all boundaries. As we follow Jesus as our example of how to walk out this kingdom of God thing, I believe it means that we are to roll back boundaries, deconstruct categories, and flatten moral and social walls in the light of a very, very inclusive God. See, it's kind of hip these days to say, oh, we're all inclusive and everything, we're cool with everything. And it's easy to do that when we all share the same values. However, it is much more difficult to live that out with people who do not necessarily share the same social, moral, or political ideas and values that we do. It's much tougher. At the Center of Unity, we strive to embrace the unity and diverse experiences of everyone. Jesus said, "Let me give you a new commandment. Love everyone. In the same way that I have loved you, you love everyone." And now for the daily word. I give thanks for motherly love. God's perfect love, expressing through my mother, gave me life. God's love, wisdom, and strength guided her and all of those who nurtured me as I grew. My words of praise and gratitude let me show my mother how much I appreciate her. When I wish to demonstrate my appreciation for my mother's example, I share the nurturing motherly love of God in my words and actions with all people. Remembering the times when my mother or another compassionate person listened patiently or shared encouraging words, I seek to be caring, supportive, and present. Recalling my mother's joy each time I learned something new, I shared my skills or knowledge when someone seeks my help. In gratitude, I share the gift of nurturing love. As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. Isaiah 66:13. And now it's time for Noel.
Even the sparrow has a place to lay its head. So why would I let worry steal my bread? Even the roses you have clothed in crimson red, still I'm the one you love more than this. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. Even the oceans push and pull at your command, so you can still my heart with your hand. You tell the seasons when it's time for them to turn, so I will trust you even when it hurts. 'Cause you give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. Everything I need. When I can't see you, lead me. When I can't hear you, show me. When I can't stand, you carry me. And when I'm lost, you have found me. When I'm weak, you are mighty. You are everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You Stay.
Beautiful. Whew. Well, you know, for several weeks now, we have been exploring our 12 spiritual powers and discovering ways in which we can put them into service to support us in fulfilling whatever it is that our hearts are desiring and to make a difference in our world. At the beginning of this series, I invited each of us to, as we went through these 12 spiritual powers, to select an area in their life where they want to add this extra power, energy to bring into being, whatever that was, a particular situation or a particular goal that you might have, so that you can not only get to the end game of that, but as you walk through it, experience greater light and greater love and greater wisdom as you walk that path. I shared with you that I had chosen to put my spiritual powers into practice around supporting me in releasing 20 pounds. This past week, I worked with the power of love and imagination in being able to give me that extra energy that I needed to reach this goal. In my daily meditation, I imagined myself making choices that nourished and enriched my body. And I also called forth that power of love in the form of compassion when I didn't make those optimum choices, moving me towards that goal. And as a result, I've experienced a little less struggle, especially around my urges for sugar, because that's always been a big thing in my world. And so far, and my scale's been out for 2 days, but the last time I weighed, I had released 5 pounds. So I am celebrating that, yes. And just prayers for support always continue. Today, we are looking at the spiritual powers of wisdom and will, and exploring ways where we can bring those into greater service in our lives. The apostle that represents wisdom is James. And in the book of James, chapter 3, verse 17, we are told, we are reminded, as wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, without uncertainty or insincerity. That's how James understood this power of wisdom. You know, so often when we think about wisdom, we think about that in terms of knowledge. And knowledge is a little bit different, because knowledge is our ability to recall all of the information that we've accumulated and stored in our brains. So knowledge is based on not only what we've studied and learned about, but our experiences. And it relies on our capacity to sort of sift through all of this information and then find connections and reach conclusions. That's the process of knowledge in our world. Wisdom, however, is a little bit different. Wisdom is applied knowledge that calls upon many different resources. It's our decision-making capacity that includes not only mental evaluation, which is really what knowledge is allowing us to have, but it also includes spiritual discernment and moment-by-moment intuition. Our ability to mentally evaluate is an integral part of this power. Charles Fillmore, in his original 12 powers visioning, actually called wisdom judgment. Although judgment, I think, today has a lot of different connotations in it. And so over the years, it's been shifted to now be labeled as wisdom. But he understood it when he used that word in the way that Jesus understood it, to judge with right judgment. It is our ability not to make evaluations about others, but our ability to, within ourselves, weigh the pros and cons that will bring us some clarity. And there's so much more to this energy of wisdom beyond reason and logic. You know, that's what we're taught to rely upon, is our own reasoning and our own ability to sort of work through a process with logic. But we're told in the 12 Powers book that in the body, conclusions are reached through experience. Our body will react to whatever's happening now based on experiences of what's happened in our past. In the intellect, reason is the assumed arbitrator of every question. In spirit, intuition and inspiration bring quick and sure answers to all of the problems of life. If we've really got this power of wisdom honed to a fine and rigorous area, we can go directly to this power of spirit, this power of intuition, to guide us in making our decisions. Because the energy of wisdom, the power of wisdom, supports us in handling all the different circumstances that arise in life. It is a one-size-fits-all, no matter what's showing up for us. Developing wisdom as discernment is a much deeper aspect of the power. Discernment is our ability not to rely necessarily on the facts, but on principles when making our decisions. In spiritual practice, discernment is exercised through the process that includes questioning. So it's not just making an assumption about whatever's going on, but really being willing to question how we are understanding it, how we're reacting to it, what's really happening, explore further. It also includes meditation and envisioning while suspending judgment about the story, so that we can allow whatever those divine ideas that arise during this time of discernment to really be able to come to our awareness. And finally, I think an integral part of spiritual wisdom is something called intuition. Now, most of us were not necessarily raised, nor have we necessarily spent a lot of time honing our intuition. But it is interesting that the spiritual power of wisdom is located in the pit of our stomach. And you often hear people say, I just had a gut feeling, because that's where that power of wisdom resides. There's lots of different methods out there to help you hone your intuition, that we can then begin to tap in the messages from our higher self. It's not about anything outside of ourselves. It's about tapping in to what our spirit and to a certain extent our bodies and our mind already know. For some, it shows up as a feeling. You just have that gut feeling that you should go this way instead of that way. For others, it might show up as a thought. And perhaps it's a thought that hasn't necessarily been a part of your logic and reasoning and decision-making process before. It's sort of like this odd random thought that shows up. That is a part of our intuition. Many people ask, well, how do I know? How do I know what's my intuition and what's just one of those thoughts that runs by my mind's eye? For me, and I think there's lots of different methods, but for me, I have found that if I ask, is this from my higher self? I will get an answer. And sometimes it's yes, and sometimes it's no. But I found that if it's not, then my mind and my body don't have the ability to override that spiritual message that I'm receiving. I think different people will use different methods to do this. Some people, perhaps you've heard of muscle testing. That's what muscle testing is about. It's asking the wisdom of the body. Is this yes? No? Is this the right path? Is this something that I should continue to be in that discernment process with? Others use things like pendulums or wisdom cards, the tarot decks, but there's all sorts of wisdom cards out there. I think you just have to explore and find the place that supports you in that awareness and that comfort of being able to say yes to that wisdom that shows up and know that it is leading you to a higher place, even if you don't understand in that moment why. I'll share a story with you that I remembered as I was putting this together that happened in this community many, many years ago in my previous time when I was a part of Center of Unity. And the board was presented with a proposal to begin to create a radio station with spiritual messages. Now, this is a long time ago, and it was an amazing idea that we would have a broadcast out of this building, a radio station that would bring different guests in and have different topics of a spiritual nature to broadcast out, and people could subscribe to it. Sirius Radio was just getting started now, so it was kind of that idea where we would have our own radio station and we could broadcast different things. And every part of me, my logic and every other aspect of my discernment process said, this is a great idea. And so the proposal was made to the board. The only caveat in this proposal is that we would sign over the ownership of our equipment, our cameras and our sound system, to this forming company, and then they would revenue share with us. So there was a lot of discussion about this, and we went into a discernment process. And as I was sitting there in the discernment process, the answer I got was no. And I couldn't understand. It's like, wait, no, you didn't get the whole thing. Let me re-explain it to you, what this program is about. And I got a no again. And eventually, the board did make the choice not to go in that direction. And I was very puzzled by it, but I trusted it. And what we discovered about 2 months later is that Unity launched their Unity Radio. And that had been in the works. It had been very quiet. We had no awareness of it. So we would have been competing with the mother organization who was already putting this in place. So sometimes stuff comes up and we get an answer and it doesn't seem to make sense in that moment, and yet if we are willing to trust it, in hindsight we can see why that was the better choice. To support this power of wisdom, often we are called to activate the power of will. Many times they go hand in hand. That ability for us to stay centered even when we're unsure of, or the choice that we've made is difficult to stay the course in. And the power of will is located behind the forehead in the frontal lobes of the brain. It is right next door to understanding. So again, many of these powers work in concert with one another in order to bring about our desired process, our desired end result. This area where will is the area where the brain is dopamine sensitive. So how we are being in this has a lot of effect on our power of will. It's associated with reward and attention and motivation and voluntary movement. So it's an important one that we want to have firing at its highest possible capacity. The author of the book Adventures in Resilience, which we're using as part of this series, writes, "As we discipline the creative energy of our will by seeking and then acting on this divine guidance, this wisdom we receive, all of our capacities evolve to their highest possible expression." In my experience, our personal will alone is rarely sufficient to carry us from idea to fulfillment. Personal will, at least for me, is what's behind all of those New Year's Eve resolutions that we make so earnestly, and then a few weeks or a few months later, they seem to fade back into just an idea that we had. Our personal will is the part of us that often desires that God or some power take away all of the challenges and the difficulties that we experience in life without understanding that these are our spiritual growing edges. Our personal will does not want to have to necessarily have the experiences that are really the places where we grow, that we discover our purpose. In fact, by default, our human brain favors safety, survival, and pleasure. These are the things that are most important to this human part of us, which means by default we tend to exert our will in those directions. We tend to make that our first priority. So how is this spiritual will different from our personal will? Our spiritual will, or I also think of it in parallel with God's will, because I think they're one in the same, our spiritual will and God's will are truly not separated, is always for what will move us closer to living from our divine nature. Our spiritual will always wants us to step into whatever will continue to support us in growing and discovering and embodying and expressing our divine nature. Spiritual will is our power of choice, of commitment, and willingness. And when we can use that power of imagination, when it also is supported by understanding and wisdom, we can consciously choose our next steps from this place of wanting to live and grow from our spiritual selves. We can pick from the infinite realm of possibilities. It's not the default choice that our personal will goes to. We now see there are so many different possibilities we can choose from. Charles Fillmore taught the simple statement, "I will be well," and today we would probably even make it a little more present, "I am well," gathers the forces of mind and body around the central idea of wholeness, and the will is what holds the center of that. And so once we use this power of will to determine our choice, commitment leads us to deliberate and intentional action. Without commitment, our life energy becomes scattered and aimless. It gets diffused much quicker. And it's important to note that we commit to the path itself, not to the end goal or the destination that we hope to reach. I want you to hear that again. We commit to the path, not necessarily the end goal. I will is not a promise for the future, rather a self-commitment for right now. And I think you'll see the difference of this as we discern how willingness and willfulness guide us in different directions. Commitment sustains our power of willingness, and willingness becomes that fuel that makes the commitment possible. They feed and support each other. But when we look at willfulness, willfulness is the mental part of us that often uses whatever is necessary to achieve a goal. How many of you were raised saying, all right, you set a goal and then you do whatever is necessary to achieve that goal? That's the way most of us were raised. You set the goal, then you put it into motion and you stay with it until you've reached the goal. But when we're in that state of willfulness, it often will drive us to do what's ever necessary to reach the goal. That state of willfulness is what drives us to step over people, perhaps to lie or manipulate the situation. We've reached the goal, and yet what we desired the most in that path eluded us. So willingness is a state of allowing. It's allowing our ability to cooperate with whatever is unfolding in this moment, understanding that this process is about the path, not the destination. It allows us to let go of that drive that we sometimes have to want to control the outer circumstances, but instead simply be willing to go along with wherever that path is leading us. And in this state of allowing, it opens us to remain flexible. And then we can be alert to that inner wisdom and to that guidance as it shows up. Embracing this power of divine will calls us to step in and to agree with whatever's unfolding as God's will, as our spiritual will. In Job 22, we're told to agree with God and be at peace. This is the way good will always come to you. So as we activate and work with this power of will, as long as we can be in that state of willingness, we stay in that state where we can be centered, patient, and alert to the light that is illuminating our path ahead. This is the way of will, and this is the journey of wisdom. So I invite you to join with me as we just take a moment to bring this in to all aspects of our being, into our minds, into our bodies, and into our spirits. As you gently begin to become aware of your breath, allowing that to flow in and out of your body in a natural way. Imagine that you're almost breathing in and through your heart, which is right next to the lungs. You might want to gently close your eyes so that you can place all of your attention inward as you just continue to breathe and relax. And see if you can't move your attention down to your solar plexus, that place that's in the pit of your stomach. And imagine that at the very center of this there is a golden yellow light. The center of your divine wisdom. And as you keep your attention focused there, you see that light begin to expand and grow until it encompasses your entire body and even begins to move beyond your body. And allow my words to become yours as you affirm them silently. I never need to worry about knowing the right thing to do. I do not judge by appearances, rather I judge with right judgment. I do not rush to conclusions, but discern the right way to think and feel and move in this situation. Everything I need to know is within me. Divine wisdom is my spiritual name. It is my spiritual nature. I can trust those aha moments, and I pay heed to that wisdom. I activate this power of wisdom right now in my body, in my mind, and in my spirit. And my power of divine wisdom blesses me and blesses all of those who are around me. I allow this yellow sunshine of wisdom to expand and to radiate into the world like sunlight streaming over the earth. Now see if you can shift your attention from your solar plexus to the frontal lobe of your brain. As you focus on the power of will, notice that there is a small silver light emanating in the front of your brain. And as you breathe into this light, it expands throughout your head, clearing your mind of preconceived notions and all false imaginings. Guided by my companion powers of understanding and wisdom, I am able to draw from the infinite possibilities of divine ideas. Any question I have, excuse me, comes rooted in this awareness of wisdom. I affirm my capacity to commit to a path and to do so with a willingness to allow it to unfold. I am willing to be centered, unruffled, and flexible as time passes and light illumines my path ahead. And whenever you're ready, you can begin to bring your attention back to this time and space. Aware of your body, the chair supporting you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Excuse me, I got choked up in that. Well, we want to take just a moment, and we'll see if there's anything that arises. This is our opportunity to have a little interaction time. My phone has died, so I have no idea if there's any comments out there in the interweb, but is there any questions or something that somebody would like clarity about the topic this morning or any of the topics of these 12 powers? Or is there someone who would like to share some success in working with these powers? Okay, Lori. Mm-hmm. So Lori's asking, how do you know that you know? And I think in the beginning, it can be difficult to trust. I think we know, but there's a part of us that is reluctant to trust because it feels sort of like fantasy, or it feels like, not as reliable as experience or as logic and reason and some of those other aspects of wisdom. I would start out small. And so if you haven't really worked with this intuitive process that is in all of us, it's not in just a select few, it is in all of us, then I would start small. Asking questions about, should I go this way or should I go that way? Those kinds of things. And then just see what happens and then follow it and see what happens. One of the things that I used to love to do with intuition is take an hour or two and just set out in my car or sometimes on a walk, but more often in my car, with no plans, and just say, where should I go? Oh, okay, I'll go here. I'll go. Whatever I was getting as the ideas coming through, and see what happened. There's been times when I've just decided, well, I'm just going to go walk downtown. And I have ran into a friend that I haven't seen in a long time, or found that perfect gift that I didn't even know I was looking because there was a store there. So this is the way I would start out, is on the smaller things, and you just have to practice. It's like any other muscle. The more we put it into practice, the more we become familiar with it and the easier it is to use it. Does that help? So it's not something from out here, it's something from within here. Yes. Yes. Yes, Charlotte. Yeah, so when you get those, so just for those who may not be able to hear it, or those out watching us virtually, Charlotte was saying an example of that showed up for her as she was getting up on the ladder, and she got the distinct message, I should really ask for help in holding the ladder, and she ignored that message, and as a result, did some physical damage, fell and did some physical damage to her body. So we all get these. And the biggest challenge for us is to pay attention to them, and secondly, to be willing to heed them and to not override them based on us knowing better or our experience. All right, anybody else? Yes, June. Yeah. It it's already there. So yes, she was just saying, you know, she appreciated knowing that there were some other methods that might help you begin to gain some trust in what is already innate, but sometimes having a tool to support us in doing that helps us gain a better awareness, and we get to know in a more concrete way that internal intuitive awareness. All right, well, we're going to continue next week in looking at these different powers and in allowing them to support us as we move forward. It is truly a life-changing awareness when we can discover that we don't have to get something from out there in order to support us. We have all that we need within us, and we can activate them and put them in service to our highest dreams and desires. I want to leave you with this. Mary Alice Jaffola, who was one of the writers of The Quest, maybe some of you have taken that, reminds us that there is an innate knowing that one's spiritual, emotional, and even physical well-being depend on heeding the call, listening, and making the commitment that will allow us to endure whatever is necessary in order to attain the treasure and the transformation that this spiritual journey offers to each of us. May you discover that this week in all that you do. Bless you.
All right. We're going to continue with the not precipitation, that's rain. Participation. This song is a prayer out of the Old Testament, and it's called The Blessing. And our job up here is to pray this and bless it over you, and your job is just to receive it. That's all you got to do is receive it. And there are several places in this song where it says, Amen, and you just sing that with us. It'll be easy. You just sing it with us. And when you do that, you are receiving what we are singing and blessing over you. All right, let's try this, Bob. Especially for moms this morning. We'll just do this, a little dedication to moms. We'll bless you this morning with this song. All right. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. I'm going to sing that again. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Where's the amens? Here's our amens again.
be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children, and his favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children, their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. And his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning, in the evening, in the coming and in going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. 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 He is for you.
He is for you.
Phyllis, that's you. All right, it was me. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our tithes, our gifts, and our love offerings. In just a moment, the ushers are going to invite you to come up row by row and place your gift in the large basket and receive an affirmation to bless you for this week. Even if this isn't your Sunday to share or you give to this community electronically, we want you to come and be in that flow of giving and receiving. You can simply place your hand and add your energy into this flow of abundance to the basket, or there's a little card that you can use in the pocket in front of you that you can drop into the basket and then receive the affirmation. And for those of you who are watching us virtually, we certainly want you to experience that flow of giving and receiving. You can go to our church website, centerofunity.org, to the gift page, and if you scroll down a little bit, there are random affirmations that you can just select a picture, and behind that picture will be an affirmation to support you as you move through your week. We are grateful that we had some generous donations that are moving us even closer to our new cameras. I would say in the next week or so, you're going to see a huge difference in the clarity, especially for those watching us virtually. So let us take these gifts that we offer today, hold them in our hands and our hearts, and bless them together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am.
We'd like to welcome our visitors. If you're watching us for the first time, we're glad you have chosen to join us. We invite you to visit our website at www.centerofunity.org and fill out the Connect card. If you're sitting us in person for the first time, we ask you to complete a visitor card found in the back of your pew in front of you and drop it in the basket or leave it at the visitor desk. We welcome all of you. It's time for our appreciation for this week. Today we remember and appreciate our safety team, whose members monitor the cameras, sanctuary, and grounds each Sunday during service. Led by Jim Little, the team not only watches for unusual activity, but has assisted congregants individually as well. We're grateful for the presence of this team. And so to Jim, Karen Sanders, Becky Johnson, Matt Sweat, Bill Parks, and Kristen Kaiser, we love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Namaste.
Here's what's coming up at Center of Unity. To all the women who bring life to the world with their unconditional love and care, we'd like to wish you all a very happy Mother's Day. Join Rhonda Lightfoot on the second Mondays at 7 p.m. as she leads a guided meditation and discussion group. There will be an opportunity to journal, so bring something to write on and meet in the sanctuary. Feel free to bring a blanket or a cushion. This month, we're changing the Friday Fellowship and Fun to be on Sunday. We'll take a break from the games and enjoy some in-person fellowship and good food at Rio Mambo in Colleyville. RSVP to Barbara Looters by May 12th. Visit our website or the COU app for more information. Tuesdays from 6:30 to 8 p.m., Michelle Accardo hosts the Compassionate Communication Group on Zoom. We'll practice nonviolent communication by receiving empathy and getting clear on feelings, needs, and making doable requests. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. Be sure to stop by the bookstore to take advantage of this month's 10% discount on the book, What If It All Goes Right? Creating a New World of Peace, Prosperity, and Possibility by Mindy Odlin. Every Sunday, we gather on Zoom before church to say hi and catch up. Come join us from 10 to 10:25 a.m. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. Adult Sunday School meets after church on Zoom from 12 to 12:45 p.m. Be sure to join us as we discuss today's message. All are welcome to join. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. Join Reverend Linda every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. for the Metaphysical Bible Interpretation class, where we refocus our attention on the good that God is making available to us now. Each class is self-contained. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. There are multiple ways you can make a donation to Center of Unity. You can drop your donation off at the church, mail it to our P.O. Box, visit our website, use the COU or Venmo app, or you can text 817-606-8768 and follow the prompts. Your continued support is greatly appreciated.
All right, as we're wrapping up, I believe we have, for the first time in a long time, we have kids that are actually going to come join us. So, kids back there, come on down. Kids, kids, kids. Well, we sing this little Out of Mine. Bob, let's do it. Hey, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hey, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, Lord, it shine. Let it shine. What I hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hey, this little light of mine, someone go and get the kids. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine there. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, apparently there are no kids. There are kids, but we don't know where they are. So we did that kind of in faith, kind of, you know, when you put it out there.
The youngest granddaughter, so she's not bringing her in? Is that the deal? They opted not to come in.
It was probably my singing.
Okay.
Well, why don't we do our peace song?
Yeah.
Let's all stand
Let's
together.
stand.
All right. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
If you didn't get your Mother's Day goodie, please pick one up on your way out as we go into this week, activating wisdom and will and being surrounded and enfolded with our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God, and the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great day and week, everyone.